In the early stages of a relationship, the connection feels almost impossibly simple. Two people exist in a kind of vacuum, where every interaction is smooth and every shared moment feels effortless. Because that early connection feels natural, we begin to assume it will always be this easy. We stop seeing our partner as a separate person and start treating them as an extension of our own needs. This is how the ideal relationship solidifies into three rigid demands: unending attention, complete understanding, and absolute perfection. But reality forces a collision. When human flaws interact, these structures crack. A missed cue, and the perfect geometry fractures. This friction reveals a harsh truth. A functional partnership relies less on pure romance and heavily on navigating colliding expectations and routine misunderstandings. Bringing a set of unrealistic expectations into a shared life actively dismantles its foundation. The demand for flawlessness guarantees inevitable failure. When that foundation settles, you often find two people sharing a small physical space, yet separated by a massive emotional gap. They are sitting at the same table, but effectively living in different worlds. Partnerships rarely dissolve because a switch flips and the love disappears. The structure fails because the channels of communication collapse. We accelerate this collapse through specific habits. We swallow our actual feelings, operate on unverified assumptions about what the other person is thinking, and let our private thoughts spin out of control. This diagram illustrates exactly what happens in the brain during these moments. As emotional reactions expand, they completely swallow your logical processing. A misplaced pair of shoes or a forgotten chore bypasses reason entirely and triggers a major conflict. Retreating into silence during these conflicts is a hostile act. It acts as an aggressive multiplier, actively pushing the other person further away. Let's trace this collapse through a highly specific, everyday occurrence. You send a message to your partner. 10 minutes pass. Then an hour. The screen remains completely dark. The highest statistical probability is that they are simply in a meeting or driving. But your immediate visceral reaction jumps straight to apathy or intentional abandonment. This chart maps the reaction. From a delayed action, logic offers a straight path. But the mind ignores it, generating an aggressively expanding spiral of emotional fiction. You write an elaborate script about why they don't care, filling the vacuum with your anxieties. When they finally walk through the door, you either withdraw coldly or attack them aggressively. You are responding to the fictional script your brain wrote, while they are completely unaware a play was even running. You have successfully manufactured a crisis. Overthinking operates as a self-fulfilling prophecy, detonating the peace of the relationship without a single actual misstep. Halting this downward spiral requires a hard break in momentum. One person must recognize the pattern and force the cycle of disconnection to stop. Relying on the abstract feeling of love is not enough. Love provides the reason to stay, but it lacks the mechanical strength to resolve a dispute or clarify a misread text message. Bridging the gap between your expectations and reality requires a fundamental change in behavior. This means choosing to speak when it's uncomfortable, practicing a level of patience that doesn't come naturally, and looking at their actions through the lens of their experience rather than your own disappointment. This means actively retiring the fantasy of a flawless partner. You have to adjust your mental framework to accept a complex, frequently annoying, and highly imperfect human being. Real stability arrives the exact moment you trade the exhausting demand for perfection for the quiet acceptance of limitation. As these behaviors become the standard way you interact, the persistent tension begins to drain from the room. The space between you becomes safe again, not because the problems vanished, but because the way you handle them has changed. By decoding your own emotional reactions and taking responsibility for your communication, love transitions from a confusing struggle into a clear daily practice. Stop measuring your partner against an impossible ideal. Reallocate that energy toward managing the messy, imperfect reality of two people trying to build a life together. Human beings bring heavy baggage, quiet fears, and irrational habits into every room they enter. That complexity guarantees the journey will be difficult,
But intentional, practiced understanding is exactly what makes the effort worthwhile.